It is now my pleasure to introduce funding opportunities. Oh, this stuff gets better if there's money involved, because that's half the stressors, I think, on many of us. So we're going to hear from Tiffany Guan and Natalie Janssens about investment agriculture fund, traceability, environmental farm plan, agribusiness planning, and BC Lean. And so first we'll start with Tiffany. And Tiffany, as a Master's of Science and a PA and food processing specialist at the Ministry of Agriculture, Food and Fisheries, Tiffany Guan has a Master's of Science in Food Science degree from the University of Manitoba and 15 years of work experience with various programs at the ministry, including food safety, traceability, and food processing. As a food processing specialist, Tiffany provides leadership for the ministry-led food processor projects with a focus on the meat sector, and actively engages with different government agencies and industry stakeholders to support the ministry's mandate in the BC food processing sector. Tiffany, thank you for being here.
Well, thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Tiffany Guan. I am a food processing specialist with the BC Ministry of Agriculture, Food and Fisheries. First of all, I would like to acknowledge with respect and gratitude that I'm speaking to you today from the shared traditional, ancestral, and unceded territory of the Sumas First Nation and the Musqueam First Nation. Thank you for having me today. I will be giving a broad overview to some of the funding programs that the ministry offers to the meat producers and processors in BC. And these are the funding opportunities related to food safety, traceability, business planning by BC and BC Lean. Many of the programs that I will be talking about today are funded by the governments of Canada and BC through the Canadian Agricultural Partnership. So to ensure we get through all the slides, I would appreciate if you could save your questions to the end. First up, food safety. There are two funding programs under food safety, on-farm and post-farm food safety. Both programs provide 70% cost share funding for a variety of eligible activities related to food safety equipment and facility improvements. Some examples will be in a later slide. Both programs are currently open for applications. As you may know, they are highly popular. So if you're interested, we would advise you to take action ASAP. If you are a rancher, you would apply to on-farm food safety program that offers up to $10,000 per applicant. If you are an abattoir, you would apply to the post-farm food safety program that offers up to $20,000 per applicant. These two programs do not allow repeat applicants within the CAP, Canadian Agricultural Partnership cycle, which spans from 2018 to 2023. So this is the final year of the programs. But if you have not maxed out funding, you can come back to the program for the incremental eligible activities. Here are some of the examples of the equipment and facility improvements that have been funded by the program. I'm not going through each of those, but if you are interested, I can share the slide with you after this. Next up is traceability. There are 4 funding programs under traceability. A very relevant one for you is the Livestock Tag Reader Rebate, which offers funding to ranchers and abattoirs to purchase and install tag reader. This is a rebate program, which means you do not need to apply for it. Just buy the tag reader, submit for reimbursement, and it is up to $3,500 per applicant. Note that only CCIA, Canadian Cattle Identification Agency, approved tag readers are eligible for rebate. So make sure you buy only the approved tag readers. A link to the CCIA approved tag readers is available on the program webpage. I should mention that thanks to Julia for posting all the links to the funding programs that I am talking about today on the new resources page on the Small Scale Meat Producers Association's website. Tag Reader Rebate Program is currently open for application. Next, Traceability Adoption Program offers funding to individual businesses to implement traceability up to 70% of project cost to a maximum of 16,000. This is a very popular program. Unfortunately, I was just told yesterday that it is near capacity. So if you're interested, I would advise you to sign up on the program website for to be on their contact list for future updates. These are some of the eligible activities for the program: consultant fees, hardware, software for traceability, multi-use computer or handheld electronics required to support the traceability system are also eligible. A very relatively new program, Traceability Value Chain, provides funding to industry associations or a group of value chain partners. A group of value chain means 3 or more businesses connected along a supply chain. For example, a rancher, an abattoir, and a transporter or a distributor would be considered a value chain. This program offers funding to adopt information sharing system that would improve traceability across a sector or a supply chain to national or international standards. It offers up to 70% of project cost to a maximum of 75,000 per project. The program will be open on April 1st. These are some of the eligible activities for the program: consultant fee, research and pilot testing, IT infrastructure, implementation cost, mock recall cost, in-kind and other activities relating to development of the system. The last traceability program is a speaker program that is targeting associations who wish to educate members on traceability. So if Small Scale Meat Producers Association is interested, you can get up to 1,500 to host a speaker event on traceability. The program is also open for application. Unlike food safety programs, all traceability programs allow repeat applicants, but would prioritize first-time applicants. Next up is the Agri-Business Planning program. There are 3 streams under this program: business plan coaching, business disaster recovery planning, and specialized business planning. The program will be open in the spring. First, the business plan coaching stream is geared more towards primary production. It offers up to 3,000 for support from a qualified business consultant to further develop business plans and business management skills. The funding is available on a first come first serve basis until fully allocated. In fact, most programs I talk about today are first come first serve unless otherwise stated. So eligibility criteria include that your annual revenue must be less than 30,000 in the previous 2 years to Canada Revenue Agency, and submission of a draft business plan that demonstrate that your business will generate total annual revenues of greater than 30,000 per year within the next 3 years. The second stream, business disaster recovery planning, offers up to 5,000 in business planning services and coaching for individuals, or up to 20,000 for groups from a qualified business consultant to develop an immediate and long-term recovery plan. Eligibility criteria include that you have been impacted by an external event that interrupts the normal productions or flow of operations and puts your business at risk. Examples of external events include wildfires, floods, drought, animal disease outbreak, COVID-19, death or illness. And your annual gross revenues must be greater than 30,000 in the previous year to CRA. Third stream, specialized business planning, offers up to 5,000 in business planning services and coaching for individuals, or 20,000 for groups, for one or more of these to develop a plan for one or more of these areas. Eligibility criteria include that your annual gross revenues must be greater than 30,000 in the previous year to CRA. Note that we do have consultants who are meat industry specialists who could assist you in your meat production and processing endeavor. Very quickly, there is an Indigenous Agriculture Development Program that is like a sister program to the earlier mentioned business planning program that is available for Indigenous peoples. And you can find more details on the website. This slide is not about funding, but quickly an educational opportunity coming up. As you may know, the Pacific Ag Show has been moved from January to late March, specifically from March 31st to April 2nd. The plan is to have both an in-person and also a virtual event. There will be a session on farm business management. The topics would include value of risk management, value of a business plan, and value of knowing your cost of production. There will also be a session on direct farm marketing, whereby it will be a panel discussions of marketing experts and producers on how to better prepare yourself for digital marketplace. Next up, Buy BC, which I believe many of you are familiar with. Buy BC is a province-wide marketing program led by the ministry, and its goal is to promote and increase consumer awareness, demand, and domestic sales of local agricultural products by building and leveraging a strong, recognizable Buy BC brand that enables consumers to easily identify local products. Now in year 3, the Buy BC program has funded more than 720 BC companies and 2,900 local licensed products. And out of this, 41 were meat producers or processors that have their products licensed with the logos, and 10 meat producers or processors have already received cost share funding. Buy BC program is supported by several components, but the Buy BC local licensing is free to apply. You can apply anytime and it's free. And Buy BC cost share funding, whereby eligible activities include labeling, packaging, marketing materials, in-store demos, or advertisements, print or online. This program is currently closed, but is typically open in the fall. So we'll encourage you to visit the program website for updates. Lastly, BC Lean is available for food processors, abattoirs included. And this program supports very specialized business skills development to enable processors to make more informed decisions, optimize their operating procedures, improve production capacity, labor productivity, and strengthen their business. The program offers up to 7,000 for services from a qualified business consultant, but applicants are required to pay $1,500 upfront to the consultant. These are some of the eligible activities for this program: inventory management, QA procedure, analysis of production process, marketing activities, etc. This program is typically open in the late spring, so again, would encourage you to go to the website for updates. This is the end of my presentation today, and thank you for the time. And I can take questions now or after Natalie's presentation.
Thank you, Tiffany. Natalie Janssens, Director of Programs at Investment Agriculture Foundation of BC. Natalie Janssens was born and raised on Nikomeki farms and large organic dairy in Surrey, BC. She has an MPA degree from Dalhousie University and significant work experience with various branches of government, including the Canadian Dairy Commission, Service Canada, and Agriculture and Agri-Food Canada. As Director of Programs at IAF, Natalie provides leadership and oversight for programs delivered by the Foundation and actively engages with government and industry stakeholders to support IAF's strategic plan and the BC agriculture and agri-food sector at large. Thank you so much for being here today, Natalie.
All right, so I do have to admit, I was asked to come speak about the environmental farm plan, and I'm totally gonna hijack some of the time and talk about IAF in general, just so everybody can have an introduction to the foundation, or maybe a refresher if you haven't had any FaceTime with IAF before. So IAF, Investment Agriculture Foundation, is an industry-led not-for-profit organization. And really what we do is deliver government programs to the agriculture and agri-food sector in BC. So when it says we're industry-led, we do have a board of directors. There's 13 directors. I can see Corinne Singfield is in attendance here, and she's one of the directors that guides the foundation and our strategic plan, and makes sure that we're incorporating industry perspectives and needs into the programs we deliver. The foundation's been around for 25 years. This is our 26th year now. And we have expanded our business quite a bit in the last 2 or 3 years, starting with the COVID emergency programs. So IAF has delivered many programs in the past by BC, which Tiffany talked about, the innovation programs, a lot of the export development programs from the province. And then in 2020 and 2021, we were asked by the federal government to deliver some COVID relief programs, which were quite large. And I know they impacted your sector a bit, and I recognize some of the funding applicants here, which is great. We did run an emergency processing fund program that had $5 million go out to BC producers to upgrade their equipment. Got some thumbs up. Everybody loves the government support. Upgrade their equipment and make sure their operations were set up to deal with things like physical distancing and increased employee requirements for COVID. We also ran the Livestock Waste Tissue Initiative. That was something we were happy to partner with the Abattoir Association on. So we administered funding to help a couple abattoirs and meat processors last year upgrade their composting equipment for SRM and other waste that they have on their facility. I've got a couple slides here that just give a bit more context around what the Investment Agriculture Foundation stands for and what we're really focusing on when we deliver programs on behalf of the provincial and federal governments. You can see that our interest really is for the agriculture and agri-food sector in its entirety in BC. Our directors come from a wide variety of commodities, and we also have 9 member associations that are primary agriculture, but cover everything from cattle to fruit, to horse, to dairy, kind of the major commodity groups there. And our mission is to create funding opportunities that support the sector. The primary way we do that is through effectively delivering government programs. Of course, we've got a couple values that IAF does integrate into all the programs we deliver and all the activities we do within the agriculture sector in BC. Integrity, transparency, innovation, and collaboration. We've taken on quite a few initiatives in the last few years just to make our application process easier for those interested in accessing government funds, and to provide value add to some of the industry associations as well, because we know there's limited capacity resources. So we're happy to help out, and I look forward to talking to Julia more after the conference and seeing how we can support you guys as well. I've talked about this a little bit already. Our primary purpose really is to deliver government programs, but then, like I mentioned, served industry, and some of the ways that we did that in the last year was we worked with BC Agriculture Council on some of their long-term visioning. We've supported them in their transition away from program delivery, which we can talk about as well. And aligning needs. I really value the foundation for the role we play between government and industry. Sometimes that communication and the messaging can be a bit lost in translation at times and difficult to understand. So we really do pride ourselves on being that connection point and making government programs and government funding more accessible for producers such as yourselves and other folks in the industry. So this was the part that I was actually brought here to talk about. But if you have any questions about IAF or would like to learn a little bit more, don't hesitate to reach out to myself. Our CEO is Michelle Koski, and I'm sure Corinne could talk to you about some of the work we're doing given her involvement on the board. So the environmental farm plan, I know Tiffany talked about the wide range of government programs that are currently accepting applications. We're actually at a bit of a weird period where we don't have a lot of application intakes because of the Canadian Agricultural Partnership winding down. We're heading into the last year of that 5-year funding agreement. So BC, the export program, innovation, those are all actually closed. But the environmental farm plan stays open. As does the beneficial management practices, which I can talk about after the fact. I should have mentioned earlier, Michelle Reddy-Kopp is on the call from the IAF team. She joined us from ArdCorp when they handed over the program last fall, and Michelle is all things EFP and BMP. So I might ask her to jump in here to provide you a little bit more context and details. The environmental farm plan is a very high priority, I would say, for the BC Ministry of Agriculture. It's a tool that can be used by now any farm in BC. There used to be minimum requirements for farm status and to get into the program, and the ministry has decided that they want anybody who deems themselves a farmer to be able to access the program. So the environmental farm plan really is it's an on-farm risk assessment tool. And it's meant to identify some of the environmental risks and opportunities that a farm has, depending on the sector that it's in, the commodity, the climate, the geography, every kind of environmental aspect that the farm is operating within. And the way the program works in BC is, if you're interested in completing environmental farm plan, you contact the program, which would go directly to Michelle. And then she'll actually do a little bit of a matchmaking service and connect you with a planning advisor. So the planning advisor visits your farm and goes with you, goes through the plan with you in a lot of detail. We'll ask you questions. We'll provide you clarifications about the legislation or regulations that impact you. And then they complete a risk assessment and have a couple high priority areas that you might want to consider addressing. All of that information does stay confidential within the program, and it's a voluntary program. So some sectors and commodities have decided to make it a bit more of a mandatory step, dairy being the most obvious one. But the environmental farm plan, like I mentioned at the beginning, it's open, and it's a great one-on-one resource as well, the way it's currently set up in the province, to have a professional agrologist or professional person from your sector walk through some of those environmental considerations with you. So I'll pause there, and I'll let Michelle chime in on any details she thinks might be helpful for you all.
Yeah, no, I think Natalie, you summarized it very, very well. So if anyone has questions, feel free to pop them in the chat and I can answer them for you there.
Thanks, Michelle. The EFP is long and detailed, and Michelle is the person to answer your questions. I think there's over 300 questions in there. So don't hesitate to reach out if you do need some support and clarification. There's a bit of eligibility criteria I just included on the slide here, and the contact information. Maybe I'll leave that up for a second. But the IAF website, it can be a little bit overwhelming at first because there's so many different programs and resources available on there, but it should be fairly easy to find the environmental farm plan if you just go to the programs drop-down tab. And then you can always just reach out to anybody at IAF and we'll point you in the right direction. So for the funding part, you do need an environmental farm plan to access beneficial management practices funding. And so if you don't have one of those, I'd recommend reaching out to Michelle sooner rather than later. It's a bit tough at the end of the fiscal year to get all those completed in time, but the sooner you start the process, the quicker we can connect you to a PA and have that work get underway. Your EFP does need to be valid within the last 5 years. So if you completed one over 5 years ago, you actually do need to go through a renewal process. It's a bit quicker than doing your initial EFP, and it's really to capture those changes in business, whether you've added a couple different livestock to your operation, have purchased some properties, now have greater acreage to deal with, or have changed any of the barn setup that you have. So the BMP program, we are accepting applications. This is the program we have coming up that's actually accepting applications relatively soon. They'll start in very early April. Our plan is to get going as quick as we can within the fiscal year, because we operate government fiscal year, so everything has to be done before March 31st of the following year. So take a look at the website. There's a full list of beneficial management practices projects. And then when you can apply for those is actually just dependent on the type of project it is. So when you go in there, you can kind of see the different categories, and they range from irrigation equipment through to riparian management. So if you need some fencing along a waterway in your property, the program can support that. There's equipment purchases. There's construction projects. There really is a huge range of things that you can apply for funding support through there. So I'd encourage you, if you're interested, first to make sure you've got the EFP lined up, and then check out the funding opportunities, and they should be listed on the website there. And as always, if you have questions, you may reach out. You can see there that the projects, we do have to have them completed actually by December of this year, because like I mentioned, the whole funding framework is coming to a close. Michelle, anything to add on the BMP part?
Yeah, if you have your EFP and you're not sure when it was done last, you can also reach out and let us know. We'll help you figure out when you last did it with the program, and we will be posting the BMPs that you can apply for soon on the website, so you'll be able to look for them there if you have an interest in applying for something.
Perfect, thank you. All right, so this is just the last slide I have, and then I'll wrap up and take any questions if there are some. The first piece on the slide here is pretty hot off the press. There was an announcement by the federal government on Tuesday about funding for beneficial management practices as well, but specifically for climate change mitigation. So IAF has been selected as one of the delivery agents of the funding, and will be delivering $8 million to BC over the next 2 years. That's a very significant amount of funding that hasn't been made available to producers for these kinds of activities in a while. It's really to get, you can see on the top bullet there, rotational grazing, cover crops, and improvement to nitrogen management, to get those practices on farms, particularly where they haven't been done before. So it's narrow in the sense that it only covers those BMP categories, but there's funding available there. So we're going to be doing a bit of engagement with the sector, just to make sure that the supports we have to help you choose which cover crops if you haven't done it before, or what measures you can take to improve your nitrogen management practices. We're going to be doing some of that engagement over the next few weeks and up to 2 months. And then we're hoping to accept applications starting in June. So you won't find any information about this on our website just yet, because we've only now been notified of the funding being made available to BC. But there's some great stuff happening there. And we've also been talking to the Canadian Forage and Grassland Association, who's receiving funding through that program. They're going to be doing some more grazing management plan training. So some of you folks might be interested in that. We can share as soon as we have some more details there. There's a whole bunch, like I said, of other resources on the IAF website. Climate Change Adaptation Program is one of those. And there's webinars, fact sheets, all sorts of resources for all myriad of environmental concerns or issues that you might be seeing on your operation or in your community. So That was all I had to share today. I'd be happy to take any questions, and we're always open at IAF. We're happy to help out. And if our programs don't meet what you're looking for and we're aware of something else, we'll definitely direct you towards the ministry or another partner within the sector. So thank you guys very much for having us.
Thank you very much, Natalie.